Lawyer. I'm Evan Knappen,
And I'm Teddy Knappen.
and welcome to Gun Lawyer. New Jersey now officially has the felony Dingus law. That's right, folks. It has to do with the criminalization of accidents. That's it. They've been criminalized in New Jersey. Now, let me explain why it's the Dingus law. The reason I call it the Dingus law is a number of years ago, I was in Missouri. I was at the James farm, Jesse and Frank James farm. It's a great museum there. It's a pretty cool place to visit. And if you're into Western history, Jesse James and such is way up there of one of the fun topics to learn about. As a matter of fact, their famous bank robbery is still the record haul for any bank robbery in the U.S. ever was done by James and his gang. In terms of the amount of money stolen, in terms of the value of that money today versus then, it is the record amount ever stolen. But the thing that's interesting to me about what happened when I was at that museum is I'm looking at all kinds of things about historical facts about Jesse James and his life and all. And I'm reading some things, and it talked about Dingus at certain times, talking about things that were going on between him and his men. And I'm like, Dingus? Who's Dingus, right? And so I asked one of the museum folks there, hey, who is this Dingus that they're talking about? He goes, oh, that's Jesse James. I go, what do you mean Jesse James is Dingus? Who called him, Dingus and lived, right? And it's like, no. His men did. I go, what? Why? Well, you see, Jesse was apparently playing around with his gun. I don't know, practicing spinning or screwing around with it or who knows what. And he accidentally shot two of his fingers off. Okay, and it was in front of his men. Shot his fingers off, two of them. And Jesse James would never use profanity. He may have been a stone cold killer, but he would not ever use profanity. So when he shot his two fingers off, he said, Dingus! Now, I don't know about you, but if I shot my fingers off, I'd say something a lot more than Dingus. But I guess his men fell off their horses laughing, and they nicknamed him Dingus. And I guess if you were one of his men, you could bust his balls and call him Dingus and get away with it. But we call accidental discharges, my office, Dingus cases. So in honor of Jesse James, of course. So any accidental discharge is a Dingus case. Now, I once had a guy that shot himself in the hand with a Glock. And so that, of course, was a Dingus case. And this was a number of years ago, and they tried to take away his firearms and his ability to be licensed under that. It wasn't criminalized, but they did try to disenfranchise him of his gun rights. And I fought it hard, and we were able to win and save his gun rights and his guns. And about a year later, he shot himself in the hand again with a cig. So you know what he was? He was a double Dingus. That's right. But anyway, this new Dingus law, and look, accidents can happen. Okay, you can drive your car and have an accident. Accidents happen. But this Dingus law that New Jersey has passed is a felony Dingus law. And it now turns accidents into New Jersey felony level offenses. And it's very important that you understand this because now it is actually law in Jersey, and you have to know your rights and you have to stand on your rights, or you not only risk losing your Second Amendment rights, but you also risk becoming a felon, going to state's prison, and having your life essentially destroyed over this. Because becoming a convicted felon can dramatically affect your career, your ability to earn a living, your existence becomes one of a second-class citizen, and not just in terms of gun rights. So I want to do a deep dive here into the felony Dingus law that New Jersey has now made law, and I want to make it clear so that you, my dear listeners, know what to do to protect yourself and hear it straight from me as to what you must do and how you must act, because it will be difficult for some of you to do what I'm saying. It strikes to a certain degree against what might be your first reaction. But you have to do this, otherwise the consequences can be dire. So this new law that Jersey now passed, and it is officially law, takes accidents and makes them felonies, accidents with firearms, into felony level offenses. And we're going to take a look at how exactly that gets done and how the legislature, in passing this, has done it in such a bizarre way, or sneaky way, devious way, that the impact and reality of it is how I'm going to explain it. So the law reads, and you can read the bill that passed. It was A4976, approved by Murphy as one of his parting gifts on January 20th of this year. And what it says is, for purposes of this act, recklessly shall have the same meaning as set forth in NJS 2C 2-2. Now, 2-2 is where the culpability standards for New Jersey law are laid out. Culpability is the establishment of the level of what has to be demonstrated in order to prove whether you're culpable for the commission of that offense. And these fall under the general requirements of culpability. And normally, culpability, it has to be proven. It's a level of proof. Now, often we think of culpability as needing to show purposefully. You do something purposefully, or you do something knowingly, right? Knowingly. But also recklessly and negligently can also be culpability levels in criminal law. And New Jersey is now making reckless as part of this law, but reckless isn't necessarily how you might generically think of it. It's defined in this culpability statute as follows. So this is where reckless gets defined, that they're incorporating into the new law. Recklessly. A person acts recklessly with respect to a material element of an offense when he consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the material element exists or will result from his conduct. The risk must be of such a nature and degree that, considering the nature and purpose of the actor's conduct and the circumstances known to him, its disregard involves a gross deviation from the standard of conduct that a reasonable person would observe in the actor's situation. Recklessness or with recklessness or equivalent terms have the same meaning. Now, if you're having trouble wrapping your head around what I just said, we're going to get back to it. But I wanted to give you that just initially as we go through the bill, and I'm going to show you how it translates into reality under the felony dingus law. So, New Jersey now says reckless is defined as what I just told you. And then they define structure. The term structure means any building, room, ship, vessel, car, vehicle, airplane, and also means any place adapted for overnight accommodation of persons or for the carrying of business therein. So any business establishment, any means of transport, and any room, building, or ship is a structure, okay? Now the law says a person commits, a disorderly person's offense. Oh, well, that's not a felony, Evan. That's a disorderly person. It's New Jersey's version of misdemeanor. Yeah, I know that, but let's keep reading, okay, folks? A person commits a disorderly person's offense by recklessly discharging a firearm. Well, you might think, well, I'd never be reckless. I'd never be reckless. By recklessly discharging a firearm using live ammunition rounds. So I guess you can recklessly discharge a blank gun, but whatever. Recklessly discharging a firearm using live ammunition rounds unlawfully or without a lawful purpose. Except that a second conviction for this constitutes a crime of the fourth degree, and a third subsequent conviction constitutes crime of the third degree. So what happens is it ups the degree if you have repeat offenses. So you say, well, look, man, if I have one problem, at least it's just a misdemeanor, and it's not a felony. I don't become a felony dingus problem in my life. Well, yeah, because here's the next part. It says a person who commits a violation of what I just said, right? Subsection B, technically, of this section shall be charged with a crime of 1 degree higher than what ordinarily would be charged for such an offense, where the violation occurs within 100 yards of an occupied structure. Whoa, wait a minute. So in other words, if you have an accidental discharge, and that discharge was done without lawful purpose. Well, if it's an accidental discharge, what was your lawful purpose for having an accident? Of course there wasn't one. It's baked into the cake. There's no accident done with a lawful purpose. Of course not. So every accident now, unless you can show there was a lawful purpose to your accident, okay, every accident done, every accidental discharge without a lawful purpose, okay, within 100 yards of any building, room, ship, vessel, car, vehicle, airplane, place of overnight accommodation, or where business is conducted, within 100 yards of any of those places occupied, that makes it a felony level offense. Felony level offense. So now you have your accidental discharge. It's done without a lawful purpose. Now the law says you have to recklessly discharge a firearm without a lawful purpose. Now remember, I told you what reckless was under the law. Now think about this. Let's go back to that reckless. A person acts reckless with respect to a material element of the offense when he consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk that a material element will result from his conduct. Oh, conscientious disregarding a risk that you could, have an accidental discharge, meaning a discharge without a lawful purpose. And the risk must be of such a nature and degree that considering the nature and purpose of the actor's conduct and circumstances known to him. Oh, did you know you had a gun? Yeah. Did you know that when you pull the trigger of a gun, it goes bang? Yeah. Did you happen to have ammunition? Yeah. Did you check to make sure the gun was empty? Oh, well, what's this? Disregard involves a gross deviation from the standard of conduct that a reasonable person would observe in the actor's situation. Aha. Gross deviation from standard of conduct that a reasonable person would observe. Reasonable persons check to make sure their guns are unloaded. Were you unreasonable in having that accidental discharge because you failed to ensure that your gun wasn't loaded? Well, let me tell you who's going to answer that question ultimately, my friends. 12 people who aren't smart enough to avoid jury duty. That's who's going to answer it. 12 persons who most likely don't know a whole hell of a lot about guns. And even if they do, they're not going to like the fact that you didn't ensure that your gun was unloaded. So, this means you have an accidental discharge, a dingus, within 100 yards of any of those, quote, occupied structures, which basically is virtually everywhere. You're now looking at a felony charge, which will make you convicted felon, which will cost you your gun rights throughout the entire United States because you'd be a convicted felon. You will face criminal prosecution in New Jersey and loss of your guns and your gun license. So what does this mean, folks? It means if you ever have an accidental discharge, shut the F up. That's right. You do not call the police if you had an accidental discharge. You don't incriminate yourself. You don't talk about it to anyone. They have criminalized this. You have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. They did not put any immunity in this law for reporting an accidental discharge. You not only have no obligation to report it, you have a specific constitutional right now against doing it, saying you have a right not to do it because you have a right against self-incrimination, and they've made it what is a virtual, almost per se, strict liability virtually offense, at least how in reality it's going to play out. That you have an accidental discharge, you within 100 yards of that, you didn't have a lawful purpose. Was it reasonable that you deviated from the standard of not ensuring that your gun was unloaded?
Out of
You
curiosity,
can see this felony dingus problem here, and it now applies throughout New Jersey.
one concern, though,
Ted.
Dad, is that
Yeah.
does the law address, malfunction? Because we've had, plenty of stories, from the SIG 320 and various other pistols that do have like mechanical failures. Is that addressed in the law?
It's not addressed in the law, and, maybe if it was an actual SIG problem that can be proven that it was mechanical, that would be a defense at law here. That would be something where they're not going to hold the recklessness standard to your conscious disregard of known risk. However, New Jersey has brought a suit against SIG itself for the problem with these guns, and I wouldn't put it past the government trying to argue that you should have known the risk because you possess a SIG that's known to have these problems, and we're suing them over it. And how did you not know that your gun might have this problem? I mean, who knows how extreme they'll go. I think it is conceivably a good defense, but they're still going to fight that, I assure you. But short of an actual mechanical defect in a gun, short of that, this law is a huge threat. It is essentially the equivalent of making, if we made every fender bender with a driver a felony in New Jersey, and that you would then have a situation where you wouldn't want to report any accident because upon reporting, you would immediately, you have a right against self-incrimination, and you'd be putting yourself in jeopardy of a felony. Well, this is what New Jersey has done with the felony Dingus law to New Jerseyans, and you need to know that you're going to have to stand firm on your rights. If you have an AD, the first thing you do is call your lawyer who understands criminal law and understands the gun laws so that you can be advised on this. It's critical. The risk here is great, and it will jeopardize your freedom, your livelihood, your gun rights, and can get you at least a year and a half as a maximum if they go to just the 4th degree level with this offense. So you're looking at felony Dingus here.
There's a bit of irony when you think about this law. The whole, I imagine, just go from their perspective, just the twisted mindset of the gun rights suppressor. In this idea of they're trying to cut down on accidental discharges, they're going to go hidden because of that exact issue. It kind of goes, I remember being explained once in like boxing, they did a rule change where they banned like rabbit punching, we could do like quick jabs. But in doing so, they required you to punch with an extended arm, which they're like, oh, we're going to cut down on the injuries. It did the opposite because people were getting punched with an extension arm, which would cause more concussion. So it's just that level of almost self-fulfilling. It's not doing anything. It causes the very harm that it's trying to prevent.
It will because now when you have this, instead of let's say you have an accidental discharge, instead of investigating, seeing if it hit somebody or something or where it went or what it did, you're going to jeopardize yourself criminally now. You have to stand on your rights. You're going to have to just take the fifth immediately, stand on your rights, call your attorney. It's completely criminalized. And because of that, your criminal due process rights kick in. And we might, normally, if they were smart, they would have had an immunity for reporting it. But they don't. There's no immunity here if you report it. You're putting yourself in jeopardy, and you're giving up your 5th and 6th Amendment rights by so doing. It is a stupid law. It is not just a felony Dingus law. It is a law passed by dinguses and signed by dinguses. It is literally the felony Dingus law, and so aptly named. Hey, on a different subject, real quick, I just want to mention a landmark little factoid that I think you'll find pretty cool. And that is the U.S. has broken the firearm ownership number of 500 million. There are over 500 million privately owned firearms in the United States. Boy, that is fantastic.
We need to get those numbers up.
Yeah, right. We need to get those numbers up. According to the National Shooting Sports Foundation, civilian gun ownership in the U.S. has surpassed the 500 million mark, reaching an estimated 506 million firearms. And the more guns means the more impossibility of banning and seizing them. There is strength in numbers. And this figure is based on federal manufacturing and import data compiled from 1990 through 2023 using ATF records. And the estimate accounts for firearms manufactured domestically and sold, as well as firearms imported for the commercial market. And it also said that America's, there's continued growth with the ARs. Since 1990, 32 million AR-type rifles have entered circulation. 32 million ARs. Talk about being in common use. 32 million kind of says it all, right? And anyway, so we're way up there, and it says, looking specifically, by the way, at 2023, they said a total of 13,574,653 firearms were made available to the U.S. market when imports were included. So that was that 1 year, over 13 million. Handguns accounted for the majority with 8,176,000 units, followed by 3.899 million rifles and 1.498 million shotguns. So this is great. We are definitely the land of firearms, and the Second Amendment is strong in numbers, and we've broken the 500 million mark for U.S. gun ownership. And one other quick note here that I find a little tidbit here, and that is, this is from Military NYI. Mossberg has received a new contract from the Pentagon for about $11.6 million, and it provides that they're going to supply Mossberg 590A1 pump shotguns, which are great guns, by the way, and I'm going to tell you about 590A1s in a minute. But what's really cool about this one is that this particular shotgun is designed to combat drones. It's made to shoot down drones. It has a 17-inch barrel with a specific configuration that's designed for convenient placement in submarine racks, and it's also made so that it can use special tungsten shot ammunition, tungsten shot ammo to shoot down UAVs, okay? And this is literally what the government says. So they've taken the 590A1s, and the load, the shotgun load, is a 2-ounce number 9 birdshot tungsten load. And it says it puts a large number of small tungsten pellets, creating a dense cloud ideal for hitting small targets. So you thought skeet shooting and trap shooting was fun? How about tungsten drone shooting with Mossberg 590A1s? There you go, guys. Now we're talking about a whole new sport.
You remember Amazon delivering those packages
Right.
with drones?
Yeah,
Now it's
exactly.
Trap shooting with prizes.
Well, there you go. Trap shooting with prizes. But you know something about the 590A1? I got to tell you, that's really a great shotgun. And look, I have no financial interest in it. I just love that gun. That gun has a special thing about it when it comes to New Jersey. And that is, It is a pump shotgun, military spec shotgun. The 590A1 is different from the 590. The A1 has a thicker barrel, stronger receiver. It is a really tough shotgun, and it's a pump shotgun. And because it's pump, it's not semi-auto. So you can have in Jersey a 590A1. It can have a 9-shot magazine in it. It can have a folding stock. It can have a pistol grip. It can have a bayonet lug, and they do have a bayonet lug. It can have all the whistles and bells on it and not be an assault firearm because it's a pump shotgun. Only a semi-automatic shotgun falls under New Jersey's assault firearm law. So if you really want to have one of the best Jersey legal combat shotgun with any of the fun features, then the 590A1 is unbeatable for New Jersey. And plus, when you rack that slide, any bad guy hearing that usually registers it in his pants, okay, when you hear that racking going on. So you should consider having in your home defense a 590A1. It's a great gun. I don't know if those tungsten loads will be available to the public or not. But this is fun stuff, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. Hey, let me tell you about our good friends at We Shoot. We Shoot is our gun range Teddy and I shoot at, and we love it there. And they are a fantastic range right in Lakewood, New Jersey. They have some good specials going on. They have a Sig Sauer P365 Flux, which is the evolution of the micro compact carry gun, now paired with the Flux Defense chassis for enhanced stability, capacity, and speed in a PDW-style platform. They have a Smith & Wesson MP9 2.0 compact, which is their carry size powerhouse, with a flat face trigger, aggressive grip texture, built to perform under pressure with everyday reliability. And they have a Mossberg Gold Reserve Super Sport, a competition-ready over and under 12 gauge with eye-catching scroll engraving, polished blue finish, and a premium walnut stock built for the clay sports game. So these are just a few of the hot guns being highlighted by We Shoot. You should definitely check them out. Go to WeShootUSA.com. You can also check out Juliana. She's fully locked in and in love with her Mac 5, showing it off. The versatile fun of modern sporting rifle platform can be. So go to We Shoot's website. You can check out Juliana and their Mac 5, and you can also see the other great photographs that We Shoot prides themselves upon. And when you go to the range there, you will be very impressed. They have fantastic training. You can get your certificate there to get your carry. You can also get all kinds of training for both beginners and experienced shooters as well. They have top people on their staff. It is a great resource you should take advantage of. Go to WeShootUSA.com and learn the best kept secret in Jersey, the We Shoot range. Fantastic place. Let me also tell you about our good friends at the Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs. They are the stalwart defenders of our gun rights in New Jersey. New Jersey is one tough environment, as you know, and without a great group like the Association, we'd be even worse off. Can you imagine? Even worse. So we're there. We're there with the Association. You need to be with us. I'm a member. You need to be a member. It is critical. They're the ones in Trenton with a full-time paid lobbyist, keeping track of the shenanigans going on there, and we're able to make a difference. Believe it or not, we are. Plus, we have the battles ongoing in the courts. And man, I am excited for them. We have the some appellate stuff going on now. We're going to be getting some great results. I feel it. I know it. We'll be reporting about that and telling you all about it here on Gun Lawyer. It's a slow climb because the wheels turn slow, but folks, it is something where I know we're going to be successful, and the association is there for you, fighting for your rights. Go to anjrpc.org and join today. Make sure you're part of the solution. Join your official NRA state affiliate, the association. You'll get your email alerts to the legislative alerts and court results, and you'll be on top of things. You'll get a beautiful newsletter, the best in the state. So you'll know what's going on here in Jersey and have the resources of the association behind you. So go to anjrpc.org and join today. And while you're at it, make sure you get a copy of my book, New Jersey Gun Law, the Bible of New Jersey gun law. It's over 500 pages, question and answer. It explains everything you need to know so you can avoid becoming a gopher in Jersey. And man, do you need that, because Jersey is crazy. And to not be destroyed by the state's gun laws and instead be able to exercise safely and legally your rights, you need New Jersey Gun Law, my book. Go to evannappin.com and get your copy today. And when you do, right down there on the front cover, make sure you scan the QR code, and you can immediately join for free my private subscriber base. And you'll be able to access immediately the updates, which have a new update coming out very shortly here, updating the new laws, doing a comprehensive 2026 update. And you get all that for free, so the book stays current. Go to evannappin.com and get your copy today. Teddy, what do you have for us today?
Well, as we know, press checks are always free. And look, everyone has been seeing it on the left where they're all of a sudden now, everyone seems to become an expert on the Second Amendment. Which every time I hear that, I think the words Second Amendment TM trademark, because their version of the Second Amendment, but they never actually go into too many details. But I will say, and this was very funny, from MSN, from this writer Adam Lynch, never seen a surge like this. Panicked liberals are stocking up on guns. The 500 million mark is coming into play. So, yeah. But I love this. If you're ever want a laugh, read an MSN article, because it's just so not just the propaganda, but the sourcing and how it works. It's it goes. NPR reports liberals and members of the LGBTQ community are buying guns to protect themselves as both the White House and national discourse grows increasingly hostile, which I love how they cite their sources, NPR, like NPR is a reputable source. But, yeah, and I love this random Maryland doctor, unnamed, just says Maryland doctor. I'm not saying that's
to the Maryland man?
I guess, I know, maybe it's from Venezuela, but or El Salvador. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. What I'm saying is none of this is out of the question in regards to needing like Trump is going to start kicking in doors on and I love this. Charles, who is black, says he bought his handgun after Trump administration did things that scared him. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what. Every gun owner is someone with a vested interest in the Second Amendment. So good.
Yeah.
Good.
And they decide to do interviews. They say 30 sources, unnamed, mind you, where they're saying NPR reports the face of gun ownership is changing. Once perceived as the white rural Republican gun clubber trainers, Second Amendment advocates, and academic researchers now say that liberals, people of color, and LGBTQ members have been buying guns and training with them since Trump's reelection. First of all, I like how they separate people of color and Republicans when
The
the
Second
number one.
Amendment is for everybody. It's for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, and also they need to remember that Hispanics overwhelmingly voted for Trump and are leaning conservative. Blacks overwhelmingly, comparatively, Trump had the most vote of Black Americans since dating back to Nixon. So whenever they try to separate out and try to paint the Republican Party as racist, I always remind them of that. It's just such stupidity on their part. But going into that, I did love this. So Thomas Boyer, the spokesman for the San Francisco chapter of the Pink Pistols, said, "Armed gays don't get bashed." So
Right. They don't.
I know. Well, didn't you actually didn't they bring you on once, the Pink Pistols?
They made me an honorary life member of the Pink Pistols, believe it or not. But which is fine, great. The Second Amendment is for everyone, and it doesn't matter whether someone is liberal, conservative, or what their sexual preference or race is. It is all our right. All of us have this right, and we always want to be consistent. And whether or not politically I agree with anything on the left, it doesn't matter. In the same way that I support their right to free speech, even though I disagree with them. So rights are rights. And the point here is we can have common ground. And we're seeing common ground. We're actually seeing it because as the more of the left wants guns, that's great. Join with us and let's pass laws that enhance the Second Amendment. As a matter of fact, think of it this way, folks. The anti-Second Amendment, the Second Amendment oppressors, they don't want the left to exercise gun rights any more than they want the right to exercise gun rights because they are anti-gun rights. We are pro-gun rights. We want all people. And every time anybody becomes a gun owner, they now get a vested interest in our Second Amendment rights. So this creates that common ground. And that can include national reciprocity. It can include Pretty's Law that we've talked about, right? It means this is an opportunity. So don't let the left's political views cloud our commitment to universal Second Amendment rights.
So going off of that, one of the things the article cited to was a group known as, I've never heard of these guys, the Liberal Gun Club. And it was this firearm instructor, David Phillips, where they have 30 other chapters in other states. And they said their membership has grown from 2,700 in November to 4,500. And so going off of that, and I actually wanted to look these guys up to understand a liberal gun club. You're going off of that. I hear those two words and it just doesn't sound right. And so
But it is right. It is right.
I know.
But I hear you why you would think it wouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. And I went to their website, and this is what was funny. The common ground measures where they go into, they include and oppose the assault weapon ban as well as restriction of magazine capacity.
Bingo.
And this view is directly related to our preference of an enforcement approach rather than regulation. And what's even funnier, the one thing that I found the little nugget in their entire list, they are for national reciprocity.
Okay, so look at this. The liberal gun group here, the liberal gun club, liberal gun group, is against the assault firearm ban, against the magazine ban, and pro-national reciprocity. Guess what? We're all on the same page. This is our common ground. This is a common ground that we need to further develop. We need the pro-Second Amendment side to happily join in the same issues that we mutually support. Look, there are things we have differences about, without a doubt. Okay, most of the liberal agenda I am not on board with at all. But that's okay, because the issue that I care most about, the issue that is my entire life's calling, and yours as well, Teddy, right, is Second Amendment. And if this group is supporting what I support, then we can be together on those issues and need to be together on those issues and not try to exclude or judge or separate anybody away because we don't agree with the rest of their politics. I don't care about the rest of their politics. That's fine for us to have our differences. But this is where we're together. And what you just said there is great. That we need more of that, because that's how we can finally get the rest of the left to lay off our rights and to pass something like national reciprocity, to quit trying to screw with us at every turn, to disenfranchise us from our gun rights. We can unite here.
The other factor is, and I dug deeper into them, they actually spoke out against Bloomberg and the Moms Demand Action.
Oh, even better.
Which they go into with the head president of the. Yet all actions they say you need to take is to donate to them. And what can they do with their donations? They're quote unquote saving lives and quote unquote ending gun violence, or so they say. They spend, however, the national groups spend most of their time advocacy related to gun violence focused exclusively on passing stricter gun control laws, which have already been disproven. So they even agree that gun control fails, that they actually agree it does not solve any of the issues that they actually are worried about. And they cited to a book, and Dad, this reminded me of one you brought to me once. It was Restricting Handguns by Don Cates.
Yes.
Where it was the liberal skeptics guide, where the
liberal skeptics speak. Okay, Don Cates was one of my mentors when I first became a lawyer, and prior to becoming a lawyer, I was a member of the very first firearm law firm in America. It was Benenson, Cates and Hardy, and I was in the New York City law office of Benenson and Cates, and I knew Don Cates and Mark Benenson and Dave Hardy. And Don Cates was out in California, and he was a criminology professor, and Don Cates was a great guy, and he wanted to do this very thing we're talking about here, of cross-trestling, of uniting, of making liberals see that the Second Amendment is critical for them as well as us. And so his book, Restricting Handguns, The Liberal Skeptics Speak Out, was all about folks who you would normally think would be anti-Second Amendment and were not. Interestingly, Mark Benenson, who was the other partner, Mark was former president of Amnesty International, but was solidly pro-Second Amendment. I mean, Cates taught criminal justice and law in California, okay? We're talking about folks you might normally think of on the left, but were actually hardcore Second Amendment, great pro-gun fighters. I'll tell you, Don Cates was the first guy that I ever met that carried a firearm regardless. He said Second Amendment, and that's it. And I always was impressed how much he believed in the Second Amendment. He was fantastic, and it was a great experience working for that firm and being part of the very first firearm law firm in America. And of course, now firearm law is an identified area of practice. But then people had never heard of such a thing. So Don Cates, with this book, it really had a lot of impact. And to this day, it's still being utilized and cited because the liberal gun club that you talk about is the same idea. And Cates was really ahead of his time in identifying this very thing. We need to join with the other side when they are with us on our issue.
And what was really, really funny is and there was a similar book where as he references a book called Beyond Control by Jacob Sullum. And Sullum talks about the racist roots of gun control and drug control.
There you go.
And
There's
it's
another.
it's that interweaving of the policies to actually put that in perspective, because everyone on the left, like, they typically are in lockstep on this. But if we can turn this, just like with the trans issue, if we can turn this into a 90-10 issue, we could get national reciprocity, where the vast majority, imagine the Trace and Bloomberg having to, I just saw this just on my feed, where they're trying to say, don't go out and buy firearms, don't telling their liberal followers, don't go out and buy firearms, even though they're all calling for the Second Amendment on it. It's that level. They have so pushed these people.
They're scared to death that this very thing that we're talking about here is actually happening and taking place. And we on the pro-gun side need to put out our hand of friendship to the other side when they're with us on our issue. Because those that oppose us, the oppressors, are scared to death of it. And with good reason. Because this can make us win. It can get our rights back. This is the way to do it, folks. And I honestly believe and have fought for this, and throughout my legal career, we've seen how the liberal causes, so-called, whether, traditionally where they claim we're pro-civil rights, yet they go after a single black mom, Shaneen Allen, who had a carry permit from Pennsylvania and what happened to be in the Democratic People's Republic of New Jersey and gets put through the shredder. Okay? It's the institutionalized racism that our good friend John Petrolino has talked about and shown in the permitting system. These are the things that are out there that the left historically would have been concerned with, but somehow they block it out with guns. No. Join together. This can get our movement over the top.
The other thing this can do, this will be the Midas touch, where once they see the national reciprocity and start carrying, all of a sudden, all the things that they were supporting, red flag, universal background check, both things are going to predominantly deny them their rights, because I think there was a statistic showing, I think it's 68% of liberals or Democrats have mental health issues, which that screws them out of their rights. So this is the key to getting them to see that this is the path to victory of how to get the Second Amendment back and then we remove all these insane regulations.
Incrementally get to where we need to be. Well, Teddy, I appreciate great topic, and I want to tell you about this week's GoFu, which is, of course, the gun owner F-up, where actual clients, actual cases where we see the problem and you get to learn the lesson for free. And this week's GoFu is pretty simple. Don't involve the police in your life unless you absolutely have to. And what I mean is there's mechanisms in law that are there that people have no idea how it suddenly affects your gun rights. And that includes the so-called wellness check, even domestic violence, all these things where they're played up as extremely important, and I'm not saying they aren't, but it makes it so that individuals that invoke any of these laws that involve the government in your life, next thing you know, guns are being seized, individuals are losing their rights and having to fight to get them back, and often it's the very person that invokes the law itself. Yeah, We see this. We get cases where the person called the police to scare their partner or to just get more attention to it and don't realize that that gets the entire system to come down on them, taking guns and ruining lives. They have no clue the impact. Once the government gets in your life, forget it. It's going to be a fight. It's the old, I think Ronald Reagan, we're here from the government, we're here to help. Yeah, that's the joke. And it's true. This is what happens. You get a wellness check done, boom, guns taken. You're now fighting for your rights. We get these all the time. Now, look, I understand if someone has serious problems and they need help, then maybe you got to do it. And if you're being abused, okay. But, if it's not something that the government has to get involved in, do not involve the government. Over and over and over again, I get the calls, I call them the calls of regret, the phone calls of regret. They're go-foos. And yet for me to even say this, I'll get criticized. How dare you say that? How about stopping me? We need to, no, I see the reality of it in the practice. I get the phone call of regret when you involve the government. So the go-foo is that. Be very, very careful, very, very selective if you ever want to put the government in your life or a loved one's life, because the ramifications, particularly in the Democratic People's Republic of New Jersey, can be very significant and can dramatically impact yours and your loved ones' lives. This is Evan Nappen and Teddy Nappen reminding you that gun laws don't protect honest citizens from criminals. They protect criminals from honest citizens.
Gun Lawyer is a Counterthink media production. The music used in this broadcast was managed by Cosmo Music, New York, New York. Reach us by emailing evan@gun.lawyer. The information and opinions in this broadcast do not constitute legal advice. Consult a licensed attorney in your state.